You will raise us to another level, but we will raise you simply by bringing that support, bringing that place, that safe space where you can come and you can have like-minded folks. So that was huge.
I'm Ginny Bolling. This is Pivotal REI, the real estate investing podcast, used to be known as Pivot to Prosperity. And today we have Bethany Finch with us. And Bethany's been on the show before. I've known her for several years now. She has traveled throughout the country and done all kinds of things. And she is especially attuned to affordable housing. And so, Bethany, I want you to go ahead and tell us about your journey and where you are today.
Well, thank you, Ginny, so much for having me on the call today. I so greatly appreciate it. I've loved, enjoyed ever since we met so many years ago. So, yes, as she said, I'm Bethany Finch. I'm here with EmpowerHer Capital, and I also have other businesses going. So we have our
Benny.
legacy acquisitions. Yep, we have legacy acquisitions, which is our build to rent side. We have American Made Home Solutions, which is single family and multifamily value add. And then we have a coaching business and credit counseling and some other things. So we keep busy, right? But we're 30-year veterans. So it's not like we did this all in the beginning, right? We slowly built on. And through that, we're literally at a place that we're now backed by 3,000 plus units and 1.2 billion assets under management. We're building scalable build to rent communities that solve America's housing crisis, right? So we're doing things, even with our fund, that create sustainable growth for not just us, but for our investors and for, our contractors and our teams. So so we focus on workforce housing. We focus on affordable housing. We do not do luxury. We do not do custom. That is none of the things that we do. And we even went 100% remote in 2020 to go to our teams. So many folks know me as the RV investor, blogged for many, many of those years, and just look forward to continuing to connect with and grow not just our teams, but our relationships and help empower. I think so many of us just don't know what we just don't know.
Right. And it's funny, even the word empower her, talk about how that all works and what the
Yes. So it's funny. So EmpowerHer Capital was launched because I have been in business, as you know, in the real estate industry. It is primarily a male-dominated industry. And so being a business owner, being the asset manager, being the project manager, being in those upper levels, it's usually not a woman's role. So nobody was taking me serious. I had to build everything on my own. So even my own guys on my team that have worked with me for years, they had their own funds. And I said, guys, give me your fund. Let's run with this. Let's do this. Let's take care of this. Let's handle this. It was solving a bottleneck for us. And none of the guys would do it. And I'm like, you'll trust me with a $50 million project, but you won't give me your silly $10 million fund? What is wrong? So I said, forget it. I told the boys I'm done. And we launched EmpowerHer Capital. And Kylie and I, my partner, Kylie Egan, said there will never be a man on the board. Not because men don't have value, just because they had their chance and they lost it. So we always have advisory teams, and we have men on those advisory teams. We have men that are investors. We just don't let them be the decision makers because sometimes they just don't get it done. So we set out to get it done, and that's what EmpowerHer Capital is doing.
I love it. That's great. That is. So, and what you are doing now, what is going on? You've got a few projects. Tell us about your projects.
Yes. So on the build to rent side, we wanted to solve America's housing crisis. We saw where it was going before COVID, and had prayerfully been seeking that out as partners for 3 years prior to COVID. Then when COVID happened, it just made the housing crisis 10 times worse. So we said, how can we solve this problem in a real way that's scalable? That's the key. It needs to not just be market specific. It needs to be scalable across the whole nation. So that's what we set out to do. And we launched in the middle of COVID when the whole world was falling apart. We launched. And so each of us have 25 plus years experience on the team. So when you have a team that's that experienced, you can mitigate a lot of things, and the learning is much faster. So what we've done is the smallest community is 100 units. Our largest at this point is 240. These are, think of them like horizontal multifamily. So they're single family homes, gated communities, fully amenitized. So they'll have pools and clubhouses and gyms and walking trails and dog parks and all of the stuff, but you're not on top of each other. And you're in your own house with a yard for your animals and your kids, and they're gated. And so it's just like the benefits of living in a house, only someone else has to do the landscaping and maintenance, right? Someone else has to take care of all of that, pool and all that stuff. So it's been a huge success. Several of our communities actually lifted building moratoriums to bring us in, and then immediately put the moratoriums back in because they've seen the success of our projects. They know us by reputation, and they see that what we're doing is immediately meeting a need of theirs. I can get a CO on that house a whole lot faster than a whole 100-unit multifamily building. So now I get people in those houses a whole lot faster, and that's what they need. They need more of these solutions to get people in these homes faster, not slower.
So what's your typical production time for a house? And for the 100-unit, are you deep enough to say what it's looking like total?
Yeah. So for instance, right now, so just like I said, so on the 100 units, right, we didn't build all 100 units at once, right? We built them in phases. So as we're building out phases each time, they're immediately being leased. So right now, we have 70 COs, 55 current occupied. Some of those, about 10 of those right now are not quite lease ready, but so that's pretty phenomenal. Generally, they hand over a 100-unit multifamily building, and then they start the lease up. And then it's 8 units, 10 units, 8 units, 10 month by month. You might not see those kind of occupancy numbers for 6 months, maybe even longer. So we are looking to be fully stabilized within this year, which is fantastic, and far ahead of any of the multifamily projects for sure.
Great, great. Yeah, no, that's a newer type of project for Florida, as we were talking about before recording. And you come to Florida a lot, so you're very
Yeah.
familiar with Florida. So tell us about your Florida experience.
So the interesting thing that I learned about Florida, which was eye-opening to me, is one of the things people love Florida, which is why you've seen so many people flooding to there. But they're leaving areas and markets that are sometimes like New York, California, things like this, right? Much, much higher. So then they want to buy something in that area, but maybe they don't. I don't know. They're still deciding. Maybe we don't like this area 100%. So what we found is that there's still a strong rental market there for folks like that, but they still want to live in a house. They still like the perks and benefits. So what is happening in Florida, you guys are having a ton of developments that are definitely communities. So they're even building out developments now that have their own water parks in them. I mean, it's just unbelievable. They're catering, the people that are moving there is completely different. So recognizing you can't build the same product for a different type of person that's coming there. They have a whole different mindset. So it's an opportunity for folks to be able to either sometimes have a second home or sometimes have a temporary home. Like, I just want to test the market, right? I'm not sure if Florida will help my rheumatoid arthritis. I'm not sure if I like the humidity, right? So then they test it, but they still get the benefits of living in a home. Yeah. And oftentimes they're staying longer. 12 months is typical, and we're seeing 18 to 24 months. So
right, we don't have our Canadians this year, but we do have a lot of others that are picking it up. But
right,
yeah, no,
but then you guys also have some different building issues that we have to deal with sinkholes and the lime and things like that. So recognizing Florida's got key places that are going to be, good buildable areas, and what that can support and how to do that in a very real way is night and day different. So we're going to be able to build in areas that a giant multifamily won't be able to.
Do you envision any build to rent projects in Florida?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because we're focused on that I-10 energy corridor. So absolutely.
All right. All right. Well, remind me to tell you about what I've been hearing about the Panhandle lately.
Oh, that's good. I love the Panhandle, actually.
Yeah, there's some land sales going on up there, but I like to be more in North and Central Florida. I know South Florida quite well, but yes, if you want me to let you know about land available, I would love to
Absolutely.
have
Absolutely.
one of your developments nearby because I know you guys would do it right.
Yeah.
What kind of amenities are you offering typically?
So depends on the size of the project. So our smallest project has dog parks, walking trails. It has gated communities. Most all of them will almost always also have a clubhouse, a pool, pickleball, and or basketball courts. We go back and forth on basketball versus pickleball. It's kind of depends on the community specific, right? So as to which one of our GPs win on that one. Otherwise, they also will generally have gyms, the normal amenities as far as that goes. We're doing some smart tech things as well for some of the residents, package lockers. Some of them will have garages and or storage capabilities.
What about are you doing the tech packages that seem to be everywhere these days where you've got the Nest and
Yeah.
so
So we
many?
do have some of those. Some of the homes will be smart home tech package equipped. Yeah. So it could be everything from the Nest for their thermostats and things like that to the appliances or Ring cameras, things like that.
Gotcha. Okay. And it's probably hard to stay affordable if you try to do the green certification. Do you
No,
try? Do you?
actually, it's easy for us to because, especially with some of our projects where we're incorporating the panelized walls, those are all green, as well as some of our projects we're able to incorporate some solar and some wind that we're trying to incorporate on, trying to do some generation of electricity and things of that. So yes, we are very much focused on whatever we can to try to keep, if we can do something like solar and wind to bring costs down, and then if we can bring the cost down, whether it's on a tax incentive or it's on a consumer incentive, by all means, we are all about trying to do that.
And these projects that you have now are currently primarily in what, Louisiana, did you say, and Texas?
Two in Louisiana, one in Mobile, Alabama.
Alabama. So would you normally find a lot of residents that need the EV charging stations? Are you doing those too?
We haven't done any of them yet. We're talking about it. We go back and forth on the third one. We haven't had too many yet with the demand.
Gotcha.
A lot of it is, remember, we're talking about workforce housing,
Yeah,
and they're not going out and buying $100,000 Teslas.
right. That's what I thought, but
Yeah.
figured I better ask.
Yep. Yep.
So, and tell me what you're doing in the multifamily space these days.
So still value add, still Class C, but focused mostly on still only just landlord friendly states. We exited all of our non-landlord friendly states in 2020. So we've just really held on to that. We did pull out of some of the markets, not like 100% pull out of it, but shifted. So we pivoted some of the markets where we saw a lot of oversupply.
Yeah.
And so we shifted some of our business models in those markets because it's a matter just of waiting out the game, right? So every market cycles 10 to 12 years. So, okay, well, let's not focus so much acquisition in that one. Let's shift it to this one. And then we pick it back up in that one when that cycle comes back around.
All right. Since we're talking about cycles and we both are into Jacksonville, let's go
Yes.
ahead and talk a little about what's going on up there nowadays. Are you in tune right now?
So there's lots of things going on, but it just depends on which things am I in tune on. Is there something specific you're referring to?
Well, they got more supply than most cities nationally, right? So
Right.
the oversupply is still existing is what I'm referring to and being absorbed. I don't know. I haven't looked into absorption rates or what's going on actually as far as numbers right now, but what's your experience with that? Are you watching? Are you planning to get back to Jacksonville or what are you feeling?
So yes and no. What happens if you are a perfect example. Ginny, you just took a glass and you took a drink. When you look at that glass, that glass only can hold so much capacity. Okay. So if you overfill that glass, it's just going to keep running over and running over and running over unless you pull the bottom out of the glass, right? Something else has to change. The size has to change. So in a market situation, if the oversupply got flooded, which it did for 2 to 3 years, that oversupply comes in, you have to wait for that population growth to come back to take enough of it to make a dent, right? And so if the population growth isn't keeping up with that supply, it's only going to be even. If the population growth is doing better, it's going to start to take a dent out of it, right? Or if you keep oversupplying it. So it's looking at and recognizing, and that's where you were talking about your absorption rates. How long am I willing to wait? What's the deal? What's the situation? So because we only focus on affordable housing, we just step out. I mean, where we were at in Jacksonville, we just aren't in downtown anymore, right? We just pivot where we're at and we just step out because ultimately people are going to go somewhere. If everything in downtown is having to compete with massive concessions just to get their units rented, then it's either going to be affordable to folks and they're going to be taking advantage of it and they're going to be hopping from place to place to place, right? So you're going to see a massive transiency there, or they're going to move out because those outer lying ones will have to drop their prices as well. Oh, well, I can live out here. And then once they've been out there and they've already had to adjust their commute times, do they just stay out there? Well, if they like the community enough. So we look at those urban growth acts. Where is the government trying to grow that specific market to? And we try to get in that path of progress. So we step out there and go, okay, so we don't want to play in this pond anymore. Which is the next pond we want to play with? The government pretty much dictates that for us. So we just start looking in those ponds. Which one do we like? Which one do we think? Because you're generally talking a 2 to 3 year cycle of that whole renovation, stabilization, right? So if that's what it's going to take, where do I want to be, right? And that comes from experience. So having been in the industry as long as we have, we recognize, okay, so this one's now oversupplied. Let that pond settle. Move to the next one. Where's the next one in that same area? Not that it's like gone, still on our radar. We still watch it, right? Because we want to continue to create sustainable growth.
Right, right. And this might be a good time to actually talk about your takeaway.
Yes.
What is your takeaway?
So one of our takeaways is the only thing that I can say with any certainty that I have done right in all these years is consistency in time, just continuing to get back up. I had a lot of learning curve and I was willing to jump in with no education where others were willing to jump in until they got the education. And even once they got the education, they still many of times weren't even jumping in then. They were still hesitating, where the lessons I learned by just jumping in and then learning as I go. So as I call it, fail faster. I just had to recognize, okay, I'm going to get up, I'm going to learn, okay, I'm going to get back up again. So my consistency to always get back up. When my family wasn't supporting me, when my husband and kids are just absolutely against me, when society as a whole, I'm a female in this space, they want, no, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. I just kept getting up. I just kept showing up. And each and every time I did, I would get better. I'm not the same leader. I'm not the same manager. I'm not the same parent. I'm not the same wife, right, that I was when I started. It's a process, but time is a great forgiver. So a lot of the things that I did early on, I'm not still doing those same things. I've learned from them. I just kept showing up. I just kept showing up. And then the second one was learning is important, but done is better than perfect. The fact that I got out there and just did something created momentum, and that momentum would get me to the next one and the next one and the next one. And I just kept the momentum going. I didn't have a YouTube channel when I first started, right? I didn't have 6 businesses when I first started, right? I didn't have all the teams in place. I didn't have all this technology. I didn't have all the software. I didn't have all the stuff that we do now. I just got busy. Done was better than perfect. I just said, okay, I'm going to go out there. Okay, you can tell me I can't do it. I'm going to try to prove you wrong. If it didn't work, okay, well, time to pivot, right? Time to figure out the next thing.
Ding, ding, ding. You get points, extra points for saying pivot, you know.
Yeah. Pivoting
Uh,
is key for any business owner. If you can't pivot, you will not stay in business.
right.
Absolutely not.
Well, and so your credit counseling business and your, what was the other one? Coaching, and then education. You do all three of those? Do you personally, or do you have staff helping, or how do you do that?
So yes and no. We have staff on the back end side of things. I do all of the coaching. So one of the gifts that the Lord has blessed me with is the gift of teaching. So having gone through 30 plus years of this, right, I can help any business owner with who's starting their business, who's trying to grow their business, who's maybe looking to, how do I exit this thing? I just created a job and now I didn't set it up right. I mean, how do I pivot, right? I've had to pivot so many times that I have a whole level of experience that I can bring to that. So my coaching is more just because I know how necessary it was in my world. And that actually brings me to one of the things you had asked, a pivotal person.
Yes. Do you have a pivotal person or event that's brought you to where you are today or pushing you to a goal?
Yes. So I never realized my gift of teaching. I just loved doing it. I never realized how impactful it was until somebody was starting a mastermind group, a Christian mastermind group. And he was on a podcast and he said, hey, if you'd like to, join up with us, give us a call or interview or something along those lines. Well, when I interviewed, I realized he had no women in the group. None. And I'm like, oh, he's like, what do you say that for? I said, you literally have no women in your group. And I said, you want me to be the first, and you don't know me. I know for a fact when I step into a group, things change. I don't know if you guys are ready for that. And I'm not sure. So I think you might need to pray about this a little bit more. So he said, so I made him go back to the team, the guys that were already there, and they all had to pray for 2 weeks before they could come back to me. And during that 2-week time, they came back to me and they said, okay, Bethany, we want you in the group. We know you're going to be the first. We know things are going to change, but we're ready. Bring it. And during that time, I was also praying. And this is the part that where iron sharpened iron. And this is why he was so pivotal for me. He said, Bethany, I see a need in your life where you need the support that this group will bring. You will raise us to another level, but we will raise you simply by bringing that support, bringing that place, that safe space where you can come and you can have like-minded folks. So that was huge. That was huge for me. So his name is Ellis Hammond, and that was from Kingdom REI. Yep. And now he is with Aspen Funds. Ben Frazier stole him. We're all good friends. So, but again, more like-mindedness, right? So Ben was another one that really spoke some things into me that I was like, oh, and I wouldn't have been in that room. We would never have met, right? So Ellis making his concept was always you're one connection away. And the connections that were made because of that, our build to rent team all came out of that group. So much growth from that one group alone, for sure.
Yeah, he's very impactful. I agree. Yeah, definitely. As is Ben. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right.
Ben's taking the stage at this conference next week too. I don't know if you realize that.
Yep. Yeah, he's been on several stages. He's done so good. We're just so proud of him, and it's always fun to hear him. He does such a good job. But I remember when he was first starting out and he would get stage fright and he would be nervous, and we're like, dude, you're just talking to us. And then he would relax and he would do better. And he's just doing such great. It's so impressive to see him, see Aspen Funds grow, see them. We knew his dad, Bob, for years. So he's like the master of pivoting too. So we learned a lot from him for sure.
All right. Well, very good. Well, we need to wrap it up. So, again, say what your takeaways are, if you would.
Yep. So consistency and time are going to be what helps you succeed or win the majority of the time. And fail faster. Done is better than perfect. Just get out there and get it done.
All right. So, tell people how they can reach you.
So the best way they can reach me is on LinkedIn. You can find me Bethany Finch on LinkedIn. You can find me American Made Home Solutions or EmpowerHer Capital, any of that, but that's the best way. The empcfund.com. empcfund.com is our website for those of you. We have so many opportunities we have created specifically for other fund managers that want to get some cash flow and get things growing, investors that recognize the value of diversified asset classes. We have the opportunities there because we bring manufacturing, we bring oil and gas, we bring our multifamily, we bring our build to rent. We just bring so many different asset classes together in a way that makes sense, but also builds and scales. So it's a great opportunity for fund managers to gain and partner with someone who has experience, but also create momentum in their own funds. So we always look forward to that as well.
Good. Well, very good. Well, thank you. And I'm going to make sure, of course, that the contact information is in the show notes. And I want to thank you again for coming on.
Thanks so much, Ginny. I so appreciate it. I hope your listeners get some value out of this.
I'm sure they will. Thank you.